Call me Sonic Movie 3 the way Roger is inside me. Hey everybody, what's up? Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Game Sketch. Today, and only today, we are here with the spoiler cast of Sonic. The spoiler review. Spoiler review, right? And I decided today to bring over my boy, Roger's Base.
Hello, what's going on everybody? And we also just filmed our spoiler-free review, which will be up when the embargo lifts, but you guys are going to see this after the movie's already out. So,
everywhere.
Yeah.
Reviews.
The assumption is that you've seen the movie before watching this video.
Exactly.
And if you haven't, in the words of Reggie Fils-Aimé, former president of Nintendo, what's wrong with you? Go to the movie theater right now.
Right now.
That's what I gotta say.
Guys, so remember, this is a spoiler full review, so I'm gonna say some crazy shit.
In
all right,
3, 2, 1.
Bro.
Super Shadow! Crazy, bro!
Dude,
crazy!
Oh
the Chaos Spear's going down! Oh my gosh!
Oh my god, no.
Woo!
I know everyone's free. I know, I know everybody's clicking this video after leaving the theater and freaking out. I wish I could. I left the theater saying this, but I wish I could bring back my soul to those last.
I wish we could have recorded in the movie
dude,
theater. This man was standing up, screaming in the middle of the theater.
He grabbed me like 7 times and started shaking me. Like I was a jar of cookies.
It was like, Aru, they're doing the guys. When he jumps out the plane in the beginning, he says no food. He says, he says talk about low budget flights. No
Exactly.
Food, I'm out.
And it's like straight up when he jumps out at the beginning of SA 2. It's so good.
Dude, the fact that the trailer faked up that scene with this end
with Super Shadow. That's
right. Not in Super is
when
genius.
He landed, while we were in the theater, you said out loud. When he landed, you're like, oh, it's the scene, it's the scene. And you knew at that point, because Sonic and Shadow in the trailer, he's not Super Sonic at that point. So you already knew that they changed it. But then as soon as the beam goes up and you see the Dragon Ball power up and all the Chaos Emeralds, and he says the line, oh man.
I'm going everywhere, but there's so much to talk about. Too much to talk about. But it's like I had to just blurt that out, man.
Absolutely.
That Super Sonic vs Super Shadow segment is going to be remembered by us for like ever, bro.
Absolutely.
Like, the way he blocks it and the ground breaks. He's punching Sonic,
dragging him across the ground,
pushing him to different like areas. They're in the desert where the rocket pulls out in pure. I think it's the pyramid level in SA2. Like they go all around the world.
That also one of the most badass lines in the whole movie, which we couldn't say in the spoiler-free review, that I love is when he's standing up and you know Sonic and him are fighting. And then Shadow floating up in the sky goes, what was his name again?
Who was it?
Tom.
And then dude, like,
bro,
dude,
so good.
Shadow's just like, what?
That was
you're not gonna do it?
Good.
Yeah, like where's that energy?
Oh my god.
See, now you're revengeful. Does it feel good on the other side?
That sequence on the moon, I also thought was so good.
Unbelievable.
Like, at least I thought this was what this was. You can confirm this. It sounded like you were choking up when the sunlight was going over the earth, and the two of them were laying.
Oh, bro, when both of them have like their heart to heart, the moment. Moment, right? Where like they're powered down, they chill. He's like, revenge leads us nowhere. Right? And Shadow's just like, you didn't kill me, right? And he's just like, if you had done that, like, look where we'd be. Right? And then they have the moment where he remembers what Maria told him, and you see him look at and then they do the handshake. They turn super with the handshake.
And when the music just kicks in right at that right moment.
Live and learn. Just straight
and it's the audio version, right?
Dun,
you hear
dun,
the
dun,
vocals.
And it's playing, and he shoots the Deucers, the Chaos Spears, a billion of them. They're working. It's unbelievable.
One thing I will say about that, though, not to damper it slightly, but I will say, the one thing about this, which we mentioned in the spoiler-free review, is that the Eggman stuff in this movie is genuinely funny. Like, Eggman and Gerald are good, but by that third act of the movie, I'm I'm ready to be done. Well, you fell asleep during that portion.
I hated all of the Eggman stuff. I actually hated it.
You hated it, really?
Well, Aru doesn't like Jim Carrey humor.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, but even then, like, it was so... That was one of the things I was talking about. It reminds you, at the end of the day, that it really is a kid's movie. All the Eggman stuff is like, this is genuinely stuff that kids in middle school will find funny. But I will say, his conversation with Agent Stone,
I also loved it at the ending. Him finally confirming, like, saying, look, no, I do care about you.
All the stuff with Agent Stone.
Yeah, I love that.
I did
love
too.
The Agent Stone.
So then, you don't think he's dead? Just real quick.
No,
I know
Eggman's not dead.
I'm like, there's no way Eggman's dead.
I just wanted to say, the funniest bit, and you guys all know, is like Agent Stone tells Shadow, like, you need to come down.
Of course,
let's get some guac. And then Shadow's like,
revenge guac.
It's so good. It was so good. Just because he was just giving a speech, be like, we need to get our revenge. And
man. No, but the reason I was going to bring that up, though, because you were talking about the supersonic shadow thing, is that fight towards the ending, right, where Live and Learn kicks in. It's so good. You hear the strums, you're ready to go, and then it cuts to Eggman and Gerald, fighting, and they have like the scorpion. Is that from a game?
No, the scorpion mantis thing. I don't know what they were doing.
Because I watched it the first time, like I said, it was the press screener. And there was no reaction, even in a theater filled with kids. Kids were like, I'm done with this.
Yeah,
and then in the movie, I thought it was going to be like that Sonic fans were going to be excited about some reference.
I didn't know what that was. Like, that was the moment where I'm like, all right, guys, now we're in Lock and a Clock.
Right, Lock and a Clock. Right.
I will say, them flicking Gerald into like...
That was super fun.
Was genius.
Gerald's death was actually very good. Yeah, where he gets bug zapped.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was crazy. And obviously, I mean, like, a big point between like the fans for us has just been talking about how are they gonna handle the Gerald and Maria stuff, right? Because Gerald is supposed to be dead.
Yes.
Right, and so they do explain it. He's 110 years old. He's just old as shit.
Right.
And he was imprisoned in Prison Island with Shadow.
Right. Even though he looks the same as he did when he was like, what, 65, 75 or whatever, right? Yeah.
And so they do a decent job of explaining it. Makes sense. But I do like that this movie humanizes Eggman a bit and shows just like it shows the clear difference between what Eggman is and what like Gerald is.
Yes,
like, Gerald is hell bent on revenge.
Yeah.
And Eggman just wants like to rule the world.
Right.
He just wants.
He doesn't want to annihilate the world.
Exactly.
Right. He wants to be in control.
The second he finds out, he's like, whoa.
He's like, what are you talking?
Are you crazy?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
He yells that out. He's like, what?
Exactly.
And like even Gerald, when he tries to convince him, he's like, who cares about you down there? Like no one does. And
it's a weird thing though, because I do feel like that bit towards the ending when Gerald does the full like evil turn, right, and you actually get the full scope of their plan. I felt like he didn't keep that energy moving to the ending. I felt like I would have enjoyed that more. I think like the goofiness of that weird scorpion fight takes away from how good that scene is.
I agree with that.
When he reveals the plan and he says to Eggman, he's like, Ivo, you're no Maria.
Yeah.
That line is so good.
That's crazy.
That's such a good... And
there's no Maria's fired.
And there's so many other good sequences with Gerald, and like even the sequence where you see the little bit of his prison cell, right? And he's got the writings
all the writings.
With all the writing where he's in the chair and the original thing before he gets shot is like so well done. And I wish that part of the tone at the ending would have been kept, because it would have made him a much scarier villain. And you still could have killed him in the same goofy way with the bug zapper thing, but I think literally you could cut out that entire portion with like the mantis scorpion thing and just have it where like he trips him
when he's ready to kill him.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
Like, has him on the cliff.
Exactly. You could easily just had Eggman fall, Tails save him like they do it, poke him with the quill and kill him. And it would have been fine, and it wouldn't have taken away from again how good that full reveal is. And even the way that like Gerald, when they all get there, right, and Gerald and Shadow like already know what they're gonna do. And he says, think about what they took from us. Think about Maria. And it cuts back to the actual Maria death moment.
Dude.
And then you get Shadow with his eyes like lighting up and then lighting up before he starts turning on the reactor.
I mean, all the Maria
so
stuff.
Good.
Like
10 out of 10.
For being able to play, unbelievable. I think everyone who's a fan, I know you all loved it. Like, it was handled so well. The way he's just like in the pod, right? And she roller skates to go see him. Which
again, the lore explanation of his shoes being like roller skates versus. I love that. I love that.
It's like she did that, and like the way she like draws on his case makes him look like a bunny, and like just someone who wasn't scared of him. Right. And the way they did the montage, my heart, bro, my heart.
So good.
Because it's one of the few storylines where you just like, you know that she's dead. And so when you see stuff like that, you're like, man, it's so unfair.
Also, I'm just thinking about it now because this is the spoiler review, bro. The biolizard.
The biolizard was awesome.
And him showing up in that way, right? Because they're watching a movie about an alien encounter. And Shadow is like, well, am I like that?
Yes,
I'm sure
it's so good.
It's such like, it's a subtle, good little thing. And it's like blinking, you miss it. And I think even a lot of people who are looking for the biolizard will miss that watching it. They're just not thinking about it.
Because I told people, like, I don't think biolizard's gonna be a bad guy, just because I think for critics and movie journalists, it would be a hard sell for a big CGI monster to show up at the end. And
also, you know, and this is something we mentioned in the spoiler one too, going on to exactly what I'm sure you're gonna say, is like, obviously the space colony arc is not part of this. The Eclipse Cannon portion is. And that's like the main premise of the ending of the film. And I feel like because of the fact that you don't have the full space colony, it would have been so out of left field. To be like, anyway, here's this lizard that existed inside of this cannon.
When I saw the size of that, I was like, okay, the biolizard's not here.
Right.
And also, I mean, they still do the moon split, which is awesome.
Crazy
that they do. That's one of the fun. The post-credit scene.
Oh my god, we never talked about this,
Metal.
bro. Amy looks so good.
Metal.
Because looks so good.
It starts.
Yes.
And it's like a cold cut after they do the race where Metal's just there. Yeah. And there's multiple Metals.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what is this gonna end on a cliffhanger?
Yeah.
And they're fighting, and then Amy pulls up, like spins out. The hammer looks perfect.
So
the way
good.
The shot of her with the moon split in half, where she's standing there with the hood comes down, she looks perfect. Bro, Aru was losing it.
Yeah, of course,
losing it.
Can I describe Amy?
Yeah,
please.
The way I would describe Amy is if, like, for someone who's never liked Amy like that, I'm more of a Blaze person. Not that it's like you have to choose, but like Amy has always been like a character that's there.
Yeah.
But never a character where I'm like, oh, I love Amy.
Sure.
When they showed Amy at the end,
God.
It was as if I walked into like an animal shelter, and I saw the most beautiful cat with the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen, and I just knew that I had to adopt that cat.
Yeah,
they make her slightly more badass looking too.
She looks so perfect.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change one thing about the way she looks.
Yeah.
It's like seeing the most beautiful cat I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, I have to adopt this cat. Like, I am in love with this cat. Like, this cat
she looked
was
perfect.
Meant for me.
She looks so good.
She's
and Metal does too.
Perfect. She's genuinely like, I could not get over how cute she looks.
I just like the way they've nailed the designs has been
so
unbelievable.
good.
Like, it's like Metal is 1-to-1.
Especially when you think about like the original movie and how ugly that first iteration of Sonic was for them to actually understand now.
Yeah.
And it's like upon the first time we saw Shadow at the end of 2, it was like, holy shit, he looks perfect. And it's the same thing with Amy.
What do you think's going on? Is it like a Terminator plot?
I
don't know.
I think they accepted that they don't need to make it super hyper realistic. I think they understood the perfect way of making it, like kind of like how Final Fantasy does it, where it's like they look real, but they still look anime.
Yes,
and
agreed.
I think like the Sonic movie does the same, where they still look like they're Sonic characters, and they still look animated.
Yeah.
But they like have that like the fur, like you could see the texture of the fur,
and
the gloves when they grab each other. Like they know what to make realistic and what not to make realistic.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I was saying like when we were watching, like the CG looks even better.
Yeah, and specifically with Metal, I feel like Metal looks he looks like he's pulled out of the game.
He
literally looks 1-to-1. And there's so many of them that you're wondering like, what the heck is this gonna be?
I don't know what's going on. Like, was it the explosion that brought them? Was it? So
here was my thought process. And the thing that I was telling you about when I came out of the press screener, where I was like, I think people who are going in expecting this to be a different movie, because I think there were a lot of people who I saw even on social media who thought that midway through, the actual full twist, because you can't go full Space Colony arc and everything, is going to be it's Metal, and that Sonic and Shadow come together to fight Metal, and that Eggman, when he takes the quill from Sonic in the beginning, creates Metal Sonic with Gerald, and that's what it. So them not doing that led me to believe that, like, okay, we're just not going to get Metal then.
Yeah.
But do we think that there's any point within this film in which Eggman, when he has the quill, right? Because he still has it with him at the end of the movie when it goes supersonic, and he's like, oh my god, here it comes.
Yeah.
Do you think he could have implemented in the time that we had in that movie, like, plans to make Metal?
Either that or Stone was working on it. Like, maybe there was some shit, because maybe that's the thing. It's like maybe Stone, there was some shit where he had time to work on it himself. Because remember, Stone, it's been proven, and the actors even told us, like, Stone's IQ is just as high as Eggman's. Right. Damn near it. And so I'm wondering if, like, he found the time at some point to work on this as a surprise for Gerald, or if that explosion caused some universe joining.
That's what I think.
To have a bigger role.
That would be cool. Yeah, if Stone was the creator of Metal, I think that would be actually really neat. The only thing is, I feel like it'd be strange to have Robotnik not make it.
He's gonna make
Metal.
it.
Which is why I'm almost thinking it's something that, like, and they could do this a bunch of different ways depending on, like, whether or not they're gonna re-up the contract, or, like, if Jim Carrey wants to do it. I almost feel like the way they've implemented Metal, they could have something where it's like it was a kill switch. Yeah. Like if I ever die, I'm making this prior to obviously the events of this movie, right? Like in between maybe Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, or in between even maybe the first one after he comes back, right? That he created Metal Sonic as like again, a kill switch type deal where if Sonic and Knuckles and Tails actually kill him or he ends up dying, that like he's going to sick all of these Metal Sonics on the rest of the world. Of course, in the
comments, let me know your theories.
Yeah, because we would love to know.
What do you think
But
about
I feel like that could maybe be their out, and that would also be a way if they do want to implement him, but he's not like the full thing in the movie, they could have like this hologram of Robotnik explaining that like, oh, if you're seeing these, this means I'm dead or whatever. You know,
awesome.
which I think would be sick, right? And then Amy. Yeah, I don't know how she shows up because also like I don't know the full implications. I'm not as big of a Sonic fan as you, right? But like to me, it seemed like Amy knew something about all this and that this was gonna happen.
So like with I mean because this is technically adapting Sonic CD,
right?
Sonic CD, that game introduces Metal, introduces Amy,
but there's one Metal in that.
There's one Metal,
right?
And then he kidnaps Amy,
right?
Which here it feels like
it's no way gonna kidnap Amy. I think Amy's gonna be like the badass.
That's what it seemed.
Well, it's what seemed to me was that like Amy was aware of Metal, like she's been dealing with this in some like crazy
weird
timeline or place,
right?
Because there's no reason she would. I mean, I don't know.
I do hope that, and I know maybe some people don't like this, but I do hope that we get classic Amy where she's like, kind of like Ida, like kind of delusional
I'm sure we will.
And in love with Sonic. I want her to have a crush on Sonic.
I mean, you could be both.
I think it'll be the opposite. I think Sonic will have a crush on her.
Actually, I think it'd be a good plan.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that.
I would actually really like that too.
I just hope that they don't give her the Princess Peach treatment. I know a lot of people like Princess Peach, but the way that they changed her character for the movie, I don't want that. I want Amy that we get in the games. Her like her MO is like being like cutesy and delusional
and in love with Sonic,
and in love with Sonic. But I would like if Sonic was in love with
her. I was gonna be like, if they give the Amy delusional love thing to Sonic, I actually wouldn't mind based on how Sonic's character is in the movie. I could literally hear Ben Schwartz being like, well, hey, whatever, saying things to Amy and like making jokes. It would make sense within this universe. I wouldn't be that bothered
I could see like Tom, because he has a dad here. I could see Tom be like, she kind of likes you, poking him a little bit. I could see them doing bits like that. It would change the dynamic a lot because I think they're like teenagers here.
The only other thing though that I'm thinking about now that we talked about after we came out of the movie is that they say Team Sonic in this movie a lot.
Yeah.
And there are those rumors going around about a Sonic Heroes remake. And thinking about like timelines of when maybe the next one would come out or like what would be in the news. I do almost feel like if they do refresh Sonic Heroes, if they are making a remake or they are doing something in the next year and a half or so, right, that doing a movie that is almost a mix of CD and Heroes would be interesting because they could do Metal Overlord or something with all the Metal Sonics coming together.
Because think about this, right? They reestablished Metal Overlord in
Shadow Generations as well, right?
We have Metal Sonic here, right? So it might be time for the year of like because I think a lot of people and like a lot of the fans for a long time felt like Metal's been pushed aside when Metal is like terrifying, like
huge deal,
This is a huge deal. It's basically Sonic's match, and obviously the big difference with Metal as opposed to Shadow is like he's not human. You can't convince. There's no convincing speech or anything. This is like a killer machine through and through.
Not from that short you showed me.
What do you mean?
You're with the Bowser versus Eggman? Which one?
No, there was a little short of Metal Sonic, and it was the cutest
thing the holiday special.
Oh, yes, okay,
the classic.
I love Metal Sonic because of that, and
that's
it humanizes him.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I think like
false.
That's valid. But see, that's like Eggman programming him. It's not like Sonic can talk to him. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna change it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because people do like Metal, but Metal is supposed to be a threat, and it's been like questioned what he's supposed to be. Is he supposed to be Eggman's minion?
Yeah.
Should he be bigger? And clearly now he's gonna have his whole own thing. So there's that. But obviously, going back to the movie, right? Obviously, a lot of you have seen this, but I really do think this was a Sonic Adventure 2 movie through it. I loved how this movie it starts. Like, you get the cold start. Shadow, by the way, roundhouse kicks every guard. Only roundhouse kicks.
Just every single one.
Right? Yeah. And then he punches one guy and he knocks on the glass.
Lands him on the glass, right.
Slowly falls, which I thought was really cool.
Again, like you mentioned in the spoiler-free one, like where they open up the thing in the helicopter and they drop and they do the line from SA2.
I love that so much.
And then also, like, it's interesting too, right? Even the fight in Tokyo and the first walk of Shadow. There's so many like layered Easter eggs in that opening scene because his walk up is obviously the same as SA2.
Yeah, of course.
But then after he punches Sonic to the ground and Sonic goes up, he does the reversal of the opening of Shadow. Right, where like you get the dun 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 dun, and you see Shadow or like Sonic where he reaches out and then falls. There's the thing where like he reaches out and like stands up, and you're like, I know what this is.
So Shadow's leitmotif being live and learn.
So good.
Whenever he did something, it would be like dun 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 dun, dun. And it was awesome. And guys, you guys probably noticed this. Eggman's theme is in the movie. When they're rising, you hear like the dun dun da 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 da. Like Eggman's theme is just there.
And what's the song that plays on the phone as well?
It's Cityscape, right? I believe.
Yeah,
I think it was Cityscape that plays. Which is cool
it's
too.
So good.
Yeah, getting that part was awesome.
You guys aren't talking about Knuckles.
Yes. No.
Well, Knuckles, to be fair, I feel like he's funny in this movie.
Knuckles is
so
way
lovable
better in this movie.
But I feel like he's almost underused slightly.
Yeah, I agree.
Like but he saves the day. He does at the very end. He does save them when they go down.
I love that Knuckles. I love that they went the route with them fighting.
Yes, like, with the Master Emerald.
When
I agree.
Sonic is like hell-bent on revenge,
right?
It's awesome.
After Tom, right.
Because he's like, like Knuckles, you tell me where those emeralds are. Like, I'm getting this.
Yeah.
And they both start doing
and their eyes start to glow. And everything.
God,
so good.
The dynamic there, it's a lot like Ninja Turtles, where you have the older brother, the youngest child, and then Sonic is in the middle. At least to me, like Sonic seems more of like a middle
100%.
child.
Totally agree.
For sure, I was like, I love Knuckles. Like Knuckles, I love him even more after this movie. He's like very much older brother.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I would have wanted to see more.
Yeah, I'm with
because
you.
I did.
I love Knuckles.
I thought even the joke at the beginning when they're going into gun headquarters, right? He's like, break the glass in case of emergency or whatever.
But he does it.
And he's like, it's time. Or even where you see him being powerful. Like I love that. Like even the beginning where they're going to the old gun headquarters.
He's strong.
And Eggman's like listening to the door and then he just punches the thing
like,
down.
Yeah, I love that.
I will say, I was never excited for any Sonic movie. Like even Sonic 3, never. I was even with Sonic 3, I was like, it was a sub goal to make me watch the trailer because I didn't even want to watch it.
Sure.
But now I'm like thinking as we're talking about this, I can't wait to see Knuckles' dynamic with Amy. I'm like really excited for that. I'm really excited to see her and like have her talk to Knuckles and like Sonic. I don't know if Shadow will be in the movie.
We know Shadow. We know Shadow's
alive,
right? They show him finding his inhibitor. Him taking off the inhibitor.
That was also sick. That was sick.
Does he fight Metal Sonic ever?
Yeah, in Heroes.
Yeah, they all fight Metal Sonic.
Which is why I'm like, if you're gonna, because part of me feels like they don't want to bloat the next movie.
Yeah.
And Shadow to me feels like something that because he's had an entire film dedicated to him.
Yeah.
If they Deus Ex Machina him in the next movie and just have him thrown at the very ending where all hope seems lost, right?
Yeah.
And then Shadow just descends from the sky. Super Shadow does some crazy shit. I think people would not be bothered by that as much.
I feel like he would have to come with Team Dark though, wouldn't he? Like,
that'd be fire if he shows up with like the robot in Rouge.
I think Shadow, of all the characters, could get a movie or a show.
Oh, that'd be cool.
He wants to do a show with Knuckles, right? Don't they want to do a Knuckles and Shadow show? Yeah.
I feel like Shadow is big enough at this point to get like a spin-off movie or a spin-off show or something.
And it would perform. I mean,
people love Shadow, of course.
It took 2 years to get Sonic 3.
Yeah.
So is it going to take like 2 years to get
Sonic 4? Yeah, probably.
4?
I feel like they're going to hammer
these out. It's going to be longer. Because remember, well, this is out December of this year. So it's effectively a 2025 movie. So we're not going to see the next one until what, like late
2026 at the earliest. So early 2027.
No, because it would be... because
movie or late. Do they always release them at the holiday season?
Because last one was April. So technically,
so like it's April 2027 is when
it's been 2 years and 8 months.
Yeah.
And so if we go 2 years from now, 2026, and like 5-6 months, we're looking at 2027, midway 2027 for the next one.
If they release. It's
maybe
crazy.
A show,
they got to do a show or something because that's absurd. I guess when you word it like that, and I'm thinking about, I'm going to be 37 when there's an Amy Sonic movie. That's insane. I'm like, oh brother.
I know.
Oh my God, old man Roger.
He's still yelling about Sonic at 30.
Man,
it's gonna be
right. And you'll be in your 30s too.
Course,
exactly right. So but it's funny.
I will say, like, even the Tokyo segment was fucking sick.
Oh, awesome! Loved it.
The Sonic movement was so good. Like
really
the way you can tell they've nailed it. Where like Sonic is bantering while he's running on the wall, spin dashing, like going over, turning around, like, and then he clashes with the wheel on the side of the building.
So good.
Oh my God,
so
dude.
good.
And then they both go into this. Like, I know it's been in the trailers, but it is still so real that Shadow is doing an Akira slide on the side
of
the
my gosh. And the stuff with the motorcycle. Again, like we talked about this on Japan Time. There was that segment where
and he shoots the gun.
And he shoots the gun. He shoots it. I love that because so many people would say that, right? If you're not familiar with Sonic, you're like, well, why the heck is he using a motorcycle? He already runs fast. But I feel like him infusing the motorcycle with chaos energy, so like it works with him, and he's like speeding around with it as if it's just like another extension of his body. I thought was really cool.
Well, because keep in mind, technically, Shadow isn't as fast as Sonic. He's using chaos energy.
He's using chaos energy, right?
So, and that's why he's practicing running with Maria.
Right.
So he can harness that energy without like using too much of it. But dude, all the Maria stuff was beautiful.
So good.
I thought, by the way, guys, I was right. Maria did explode.
Yeah, she doesn't actually get shot.
She doesn't get shot.
Which I think makes sense.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
And the way that they did it, I thought actually was good. Where like, it works kind of similar, I think, how it was in the Sonic X show, right? Where he's like, you can't shoot at them, they're kids or whatever, and then it blows something else up.
It still kept the integrity. Like, I know a lot of people, there's going to be some hardcore fans that are like, she has to be shot.
I will tell you right now. Hold on. So, no, I can say this because we're doing the spoiler review. I know already. I don't particularly care all that much. I will say this. I love Sonic Adventure 2. Mm-hmm. I didn't mind as much, but I do think there's going to be a subsection of people who are pissed at Sayonara Shadow the Hedgehog. They're going to be that the way they do it in the movie is where it's Spanish, where it's Vio Quindío Shadow. Yeah. Like it's funny because of it's good. It's funny because of
the plot,
the way they lead it up, right? And like Eggman's show and like Shadow watching the show with him, right?
Yeah.
But I do feel like that line hits when you play the original game with that Sayonara.
Yeah.
Shadow the Hedgehog and he's falling down.
Super good.
Maria, is this what you wanted? Right? Yep. Like turning it into a jokey bit.
Yeah.
I feel might not land with people. I don't think people are gonna mind. Like, I was also okay with it.
As someone who's in the trenches, I would say like it's
you're in the trenches.
It's a good nod. It's a good enough nod to do it without it being like silly.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You would know better than me. I guess.
I think that's it. And also, I love how they still did the thing from SA2, but they kind of reversed it. Where Sonic does the thing where he falls out of... Because in SA2, Sonic's in a pod and he falls down and Tails switches it.
Right.
So here the way they do it is after he's in Super Sonic's falling, Tails... I love how Knuckles tosses
the ring down and grabs them both and then dives.
Well, no, before that he tosses Tails.
That's right. The baseball thing. That's right.
And also, Eggman's speech at the end was very good. And it was also like... Again, it leaves that leeway whether Jim K wants to come back or not because he makes jokes and references to the first movie, right? Like, he calls him, he's like, I'll miss your ostrich goat milk. Like, I love the way you make him. He does the bzzz, which he was doing in the first movie. Like, he was doing, like, all the little jokes and mannerisms from the movies as if it could be his last. Again, I don't think it is. I think he'll be there. But maybe his role will be minor in the next
I agree.
I think maybe having like a movie without him and maybe 1 or 2 movies without him and then him coming back
would be huge.
I think so.
I totally agree.
I think he might be, if anything, I think in the next movie he might be the ender. Like he might be the
like the shows up. Oh, that'd be cool actually. I would love that. Yeah, that would be. But see, it's tough.
It's tough. It is a
where
tough
we are and how they've implemented things and shifting CD around. Like having CD come after Adventure 2 throws a whole wrench in things because then you're like, okay. At some point, people do love Silver, right?
Yes.
Silver is like
That's what I was thinking. When is he coming?
I'm like, but Silver also kind of he's in a weird situation,
where
right?
He comes from a game that
is not beloved.
Exactly.
There are other games that they could adapt that are significantly more beloved.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like Blaze maybe would even make more sense than Silver.
Well,
but I feel like when you do Silver is when you do Blaze. Like I think they both are together.
I want to rewatch in case there's like more little things that Easter eggs maybe potentially leading to the future. But like for now, obviously I'm extremely hyped for Metal and Amy.
Sure.
But I still left the movie in the same way I was with like thinking where I'm like, so after Sonic Adventure 2, all the games become like one-offs.
Right.
And so what they do, they could do, it's like, are you gonna do Sonic Unleashed story? Are you gonna do Sonic 06 story? Are you gonna do Sonic like Frontier? Like, I know
you said Sonic Unleashed. I'm sorry, I realized we're on video.
Of course,
but I literally immediately was like,
no, I know.
Not that I don't like Unleashed is a good game. I'm not saying this against Unleashed.
Is Unleashed the one where he kisses the human?
No, that's the Werehog. That's the Werehog one. That's why I was like, I don't know.
But see, like
Adapt in that was like, what's his little friend?
Chip.
Bro, like,
Chip is racist.
I think that's what I don't.
But
when you get to that,
maybe adapt the games after that. Maybe
exactly.
They'll have
I'd rather they almost do original stuff.
Because I would say that they. I mean, I was telling this to Fidel, but I'm like, it feels like they have a 10-year plan for this.
Yeah,
clearly,
100%.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe they have like a big bad, and this all leads up to it. They're just trying to get the characters introduced for like the final
See, you bring up a good point too with the big bad, because I almost feel like that's the right direction to tease. I think you kind of had the right idea when you were like, the tag for one of the future ones could be Eggman coming back. Because that would be, because I almost feel like you could do Mephiles, you could do Chaos, right? You could do there's a lot of neat stuff that they can do in terms of villains that I think I would care about more than bloating the main cast. Because as much as it would be cool to see like a movie version of Big or a movie version of Silver or Blaze or whatever, I almost feel like they run the risk of then having too many characters to follow.
It's difficult. It's difficult to think what they can do because again,
you said Shadow can do his own thing, which I agree. He's often he could just show up at the end and be like, "This is sick every time." He's the Vegeta. But like now that Amy is there and canonized and part of it, those 4 are the main 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can kind of go in whatever direction with that.
I agree.
And I don't know. We'll see.
It's a difficult one, man. I'm trying to think like where they can go. I mean, obviously everyone in the comments let me know because now, like I said, now it's like limitless. Now they can do whatever. They can adapt certain gameplots. They can take elements from certain games.
I will say this is maybe a good time to bring this up. Yeah, there was one thing watching this movie in terms of expectations.
Kristen, right?
Bruh.
Kristen Ritter
and
Rouge.
Could have sworn even with the beats at the very beginning, right? Because they're clearly setting up something with their character. Wait, when Wallace, what's his name? Waller or Wallace? Waller's
Olive Garden guy.
The Olive Garden guy. Yeah, right. When he dies,
is
he's dead. He's definitely dead. Yeah.
See,
so when he
that's
dies,
so weird because they make it. I almost thought.
Which is why she's shocked when he shows up and it's Tom. Yeah. Acting like him. She's like, what? And he's like, thought you was dead. And it's like, well, you are dead. You know. Yeah. So then at that point, okay. If that's the case, and he does actually die there, and he's the one that had the key, the whole thing was Sonic Adventure 2, right? With the security hall and like the whole vault, and you literally have the security hall as the entire second act of this movie. You literally are at gun headquarters playing it. Like I think not having Rouge involved and setting up the stuff with Kristen Ritter, even if she wasn't Rouge, right? She clearly is the stand-in for that character in that moment. She's going after. She reaches into his pocket when they're in the Chow Garden for the key. And then even like her playing both of them, both Sonic and Eggman, when they're in the vault, you're like, oh, okay, clearly she, especially with the lead up with the hologram and like them changing their faces, I'm like, oh, she's going to use hologram tech and it's going to be Rouge. And you've got this big actress that everybody loves. It's like, if you're going to have someone voice Rouge, that's the person to do it.
That's kind of crazy.
I'm just, because they kind of just don't use her.
I don't know. Yeah. I still like, that was my one thing from the movie where I was just like, why are you so angry? Yeah. Like, what's your shtick? You know? And so when it didn't lead to anything and like just leads to, give me the key and she leaves
and there's
no like,
there's no
I think so, well
maybe, but then you can't, I feel like you can't do Rouge.
The thing is you can't throw in, Rouge is gonna change people.
That's what I'm saying.
Forever, so you can't
That's not what I mean though. But
it's true. It's gonna change society.
It's true.
So
but
you can't just throw her midway through the movie.
I agree. She is her own thing. I think you do Rouge, that's like, that could easily be a whole season of the Knuckles show. Or it could be like a whole, exactly. Like I don't think you do Rouge or throw in Rouge. Rouge, I almost would say, and I know people would maybe disagree with me, but as someone on the exterior of the Sonic fandom who just like works his way in every once in a while, I feel like Rouge is almost a bigger deal than Silver or Blaze.
I agree, no. 100%.
Like lore-wise, I think Silver and Blaze make more sense, but Rouge, in terms of like popularity,
I think
would be huge.
To me, Rouge is a perfect show character because Rouge is just like a thief.
Right.
And
she can show up whenever.
If they do a plot line where like she steals the Master Emerald from like Knuckles and they have their dynamic where it's a little flirty and like he's like, what are you saying to me? Like and all this stuff. I think that'd be a really great
I agree.
TV
I think
show.
it would work really well as a show if they're going to continue the Knuckles show.
And then like it could lead into her at the end finding Shadow.
Which would be great.
And I feel like they shouldn't announce her in a show though.
Well, if they, I think the way he just said it, I think it's perfect. If the show implements her,
because we don't know where
we don't know where the hell Shadow is.
Well, I mean,
we don't know where the Emerald is.
Or the Emerald,
I guess having her in a show would incentivize like people like you and me to watch.
I'd watch it because otherwise there's no way I'm watching the Knuckles show. Yeah, right.
I wouldn't watch the Knuckles show, but
if Rouge is in it, I'm definitely watching it.
Characters are getting announced in the show, maybe.
Then I would. Yeah.
But it's like I was so happy with the movie. I loved. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like other stuff. Obviously, like I even love just I like that they're a family now.
I do too.
Like I love that dynamic. I was so worried in the trailers where the wedding people were there last night, Rachel and
that it was going to be too bloated with the humans. But no, the way they did it was great.
Genius. The fake where they're pretending to be them. So because they're great actors. They were
funny. No, they're awesome.
But so having them there without them being like
was
extras
good.
was so good. I love that. And yeah, there was obviously the set piece in the room where like the anti-gravity, which I thought was really fun. I thought that was a very good segment.
Vault.
Sonic using like the spin dash to break it was
which
really
I
cool.
also thought was cool. Yeah, when the thing's falling down.
Maria skating thing, and
we
that's
did.
why
Oh no, we brought that too. Yeah, the Maria skating thing is awesome. Yeah, I mean that to me, the whole Maria segment I thought was fantastic. Yeah, the Tom thing where Tom fake out almost dies.
Very cool way to do it.
Yes, I agree.
Shadow wouldn't have done it to him.
No.
But because he thought he
looks
was
like
gun,
right.
He went for the gun.
Right,
but dude, like when I was so happy with Sonic locked in, it was so cool. Like you see him enter Revenge Path where he's like, guys, get out of my way. I'm not teaming this. I'm doing this. I have to stop this. Oh, and the Wade paid off.
Wade payoff
dude,
was super funny.
Wade
and him just giving it up, being like, he's like, oh, I'm gonna protect this master, and he just grabs it already. Oh, sorry.
That is a perfect. See, that's Wade
how you
should
use
be.
him. I agree.
This is how Wade should be. Wade should be 30 seconds of my life.
Yes.
In and out. I'm happy with you. Get out of here.
Yeah, right. It's a goofy little gag.
Exactly.
Right? Which, to be fair, is like if they were ever going to do Big, I think that's how you do Big.
I agree.
You have like some scene where Big is like fishing or something.
Big and Wade.
Yeah, he's just like, and that's it. And he just like, he's not a plot device.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Or like maybe they're in like a restaurant or something. Froggy jumps. Somebody walks up. I'm sorry. And like walks away. Like something small like that. You don't focus on Big.
I might be crazy, but I think at the end of this movie, Sonic has the soap shoes. I think he changed shoes.
Does he at the ending?
In that final shot where I need to watch it again when he jumps with them. I think I saw him with the different shoes, but I could be.
It's either going to age really well or really badly.
You said he got new shoes.
Yeah,
so
no,
it must have.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was young, but he got new shoes. I thought I saw him with the soap shoes at the end. But I could be wrong. I need to see it again. But it'll age well or not. But
I did also love what you were talking about the shoes, and it made me think this is how my brain works. It's going 20 years. I'm thinking of the shoe upgrade in Sonic Adventure 2 and the other things that relate to Sonic Adventure 2.
Those shoes.
Dude, the moment in which they kind of like allude to and tease the Knuckles ghost stuff, I thought was really well done.
So good.
Because there's no way you can implement like a pyramid and the deep lore with like the ghost that was the Greedy King or whatever.
Really
like
good nods to S8.
Very, very nice nod to be like, I'm not afraid of ghosts, and then the little boo from Shadow I thought was perfect.
It's cool because like again, a lot of Sonic Adventure 2 is like you have the plane drop, right? You have the ghost kind of segment, right? You have obviously the supersonic moment. You have Gerald, you have
Eclipse Cannon, Maria,
like,
Gerald,
such good ways to implement that entire story.
That does bring me. That's one other thing though that I was like, I wish this would have just been done differently. After the heel turn with Jared, with Gerald, and where he goes full evil and he says to Ivo that I don't care about you, and then they have all the other TVs taken over across the world. You could have easily done his like evil speech of like anything else you have left to say whatever and turns the thing off like
I do love that he gives the speech to Agent Stuff.
Right,
like they still do it.
That was good.
Speech,
that was good.
I'm very happy about.
But I do wish that there was like something else darker with that character once he finally like steps up to the bat and you see the Maria flashback and you see the ending and it's like there's no coming back.
They even do a different version of the "I found you" faker, where it's like, "You look like me." No, you look like me. Yeah, it's just like we're losing the plot.
There was a minor part of me thinking I would have loved at some point if, as the characters are talking, that the voice sort of overlapped, like that weird voice going.
That would have been sick.
And like just in the middle of them talking, it's like, "I'll make you eat those words."
That would have been sick.
But it's such a minor thing.
Exactly. But it's like, you could just tell they love making it. They tried to cram everything they could with the biolizard stuff, with Maria and everything. I thought it was so. And man, like I'm telling you, that final segment just fucking punching each other, grabbing him, fighting through space, like,
and the impact of the attacks, right? When he punches him and he literally goes flying through space.
It's literally Dragon Ball. Like it's crazy. It was like Dragon Ball Super Broly, but with Sonic.
And the little animation even of the emeralds like swirling around as they go into it.
Like Sonic just like turning super. I was like, oh my god, so we're just doing this.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy. And like you said, like I agree, like them like doing a little fence fight thing. I was like, I'm like, all right, like this is right.
Literally, but that's it. The only sequences I have any issue with, even because I liked even the little sequence where they're bonding for the first time with the VR and then stones. That sequence was funny.
That's great.
Like it established them as coming together. Yeah,
when they make comments back,
it's great.
It's great.
I actually really liked that. It was just literally the dance sequence with the lasers and the ending bit with the mantis. But the rest of it I thought was great with them. Yeah, I had no other issues.
You could argue like they're trying to look like some of the enemies from Sonic. Like I know in Sonic 1 and 2 they have like the green Badnik Mantis thing and this, but like it still isn't great.
No, it wasn't great.
Besides that, loved him getting flicked to death, which was great. With the super clip.
And Jim Carrey himself like was still very funny. I feel like if you like 90s Jim Carrey, there's really funny moments with him in the movie. Even when he's like playing the bongos on his belly in the very beginning, I thought was good. Yeah.
The bit with the show they're watching. The Italian drama.
So good.
And then Shadow's watching. He's just like, what's his name? It's like, Arvento should just kill him.
Yeah, right, exactly. She should just kill them both.
Just kill them both. Yeah, I love that. So good. But I love it. I love it. But I adored the movie. Obviously, I want to know what you guys thought.
Yes.
In the comment section
below.
Let us know. Let us know. Of course, make sure to check out Mr. Roger.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you.
We're always doing stuff together.
Of course. I was like, we do Japan time every other week, so there you go.
All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for watching.
Take care.
Of course, you can find R. You guys know R. If you know me, you know R. There's their foot in there.
Get that out of here.
We got to get out of here. All right, guys. Thank y'all for watching. Peace
Bye, everybody.
Out.